Now, this time, I'll share with you how to write the recommendations of the study. These are essential parts of your paper. So do not just say that we don't have recommendations, so you'll just delete the recommendations part. No. All parts of this research paper are very essential, so you could not just delete any. Now, how do we write the recommendations of your paper? We base the recommendations on the results of your study. So for example, number one, based on the results of my study, what specific statements should be done? Or what policy should be done? For example, if your study is on the perception of students in online distance learning in relation to their academic performance, and you notice that their perception is related to academic performance. It means if they have higher levels of positive attitude towards online learning, they tend to perform well academically. Now, what policy will you imply? Like, what attitudes have students developed in online distance learning that should be applied by the school? For example, if in your study you have seen that students tend to perform well if they apply the concepts or in quizzes compared to worksheets, then what policy should be done? Dapat ang apply the concepts, we recommend that teachers will do the apply the concepts in quizzes. You know what? If you notice, for this, you've been with me in GenMath, to those who are in STAT, to those who are in my online classes. And I tend to give worksheets. And I realized at the end of the quarter that it's not effective. Like, there were so many students who are not submitting their worksheets. And at the end of the quarter, I keep on messaging and sending them like it's a modular type. So this year, I tried it with my Math 9 students. Okay, what's my new policy? Again, this is not yet research-based. It's observation-based. So I will no longer do worksheets. I'll just give quizzes. So even if it will take me some time for one quiz, like 30 minutes to 1 hour to prepare, but I noticed that with my Math 9 students, the turnout is just okay. Like, out of, if there are 10 of them, at the end of the day, 9 or 10 would finish the quizzes. Compared to my worksheets before, that there's only 2 or 3 who will submit, and I'll keep on looking for 10 or more. Same with your class this time. That's why, that's my new policy based on my observation. I plan to make it a research. So how about you? What's the policy that can be done based on your results? A policy that there must be classical music while reading, or there must be there must be a stress debriefing every time, because stress is related to academic performance. So these are some of the policies. Second, what practices, based again, do not make recommendations that are not related to your study. If your study said that they are not related, do not make it as a recommendation, please. Like, for example, what would benefit the organization? What problems can be corrected or avoided? Or letter C, what is the feasibility of a proposed policy? And letter D, think about the nature and timing of the evaluation plan. Is my data gathering enough? Is my experiment period enough? Or, for example, if you only let them read one selection, listen to classical music, and then you tested them, is it enough? Or do we need to have series of reading sessions with classical music? Now, the next one. So how will I present my recommendations? This is a big study. So my advisor told me to group my recommendations um, with the categories to the ones who will benefit with the study. So here's how I presented my recommendations. For the Department of Education, it's a recommendation to make a database for online educational platform, to provide training for TBFC, and to consider it in virtual team-based flipped classroom. For instructional designers, what will be the recommendations? For schools, what will be the recommendation? Like, again, this is a quali-quanti research. So based on the qualitative result, the student said that, ma'am, dili ko motivated to study in advance because wala internet. Problema ang internet. So that's why it's a consideration for number 3, to develop an offline resource material like a database where students can still access the same resources without an internet connection. So how can it be done? Through a CD, through a flash drive, or through an offline resource. Then the next one, for mathematics teachers, what will be the recommendations? Then for parents, what will be the recommendations? And for future research, based on my study, how can this be improved? I placed here to consider the following measures. Number 1, an alternative internet source. Number 2, to ensure engagement in the virtual component. Like for example, they study as a team, but how sure am I that everyone is really studying as a team? Maybe only the outstanding student is studying. How about the beginning student? Number 3, like the offline resource material. And number 4, to add a strategy where students get more motivated in learning with the use of TBFC. Actually, I added a strategy. I'd give a reward, a cash reward to that team who will get the highest score for the day. And what else aside from that reward? So you need to show that in your recommendations. Any questions?